Oh yeah, darlings, and here I am saluting you once again with a Mary Jane Gateway to Paradise mug. Oh, baby, what a great way to wake up in the day, man. Toking on a little MJ in your cough. Hey, oh yeah, can't get better than this, can it? Oh yes, it can, and it does too. As we continue with our celebration and honoring of the sacred herb, Mary J, babies. One more toke to help us along the way. Yes, it's a sacred prayer for transformational healing right this moment. Oh, yeah, for all who might be in need of it, man, because this will definitely help fulfill your need. You know, all we feel in this softening, awakening moment is a unity of the heart. Now, there's been a little anxiety and tension kind of washed over from the weekend. You know, I can feel that too, man. I got to honor and acknowledge what's there, you see. You don't want to hide from things, you know. Then you can deal with it, you know. Then you can have a little fun with life, you know. Instead of letting it drag your ass down all the time, you come right back up, babies, and, you know, fill your cup with love each and every time and just get that much better and get that much more underway. I can't tell you how much simpler my life is these days than it has been in times previous. Let me tell you, it's got down to a nice little place where everything just kind of flows, you know, and it's starting to flow together a whole lot better. I'm starting to understand and redirect my energies in more positive and powerful ways, quite naturally. It's not like I'm sitting there thinking about it. It just happens because I'm going through the levels and stages of rehabilitating every doggone part inside of me, man. Regenerating everything. Wiping the slate clean. So there's just unity. There's just you, me, love, eternal. Glowing itself into creation and feeling every bit of it because it lives in it. That's our true reality, babies. That's about 420 here to set you free on this magic Monday. Not so mundane now, is it, babies? Not at all. And where else are we going to go but to a little medicine show and experience some whole lot of rock and roll? Yes, indeedy, don't you know, babies? Get out there and shake your bacon, you betcha. Let life know how much you appreciate it. Let your energy flow out today, you know. Take that one little toke, honor MJ in any way that you can. But do honor her. I don't care if you're politically incorrect or whatever. You know, just honor the baby. Because she is a lot of what's got us here where we are now. All of your ancient saints and a lot of your ancestors too, which may be one and the same in some cases, a lot of them have participated, most of them, in fact, in the MJ and in other what you would call hallucinogenic substances in these days, but they really weren't. They were something along the lines of, you know, a mystical aid provided by Mother Nature. You see, when you approach things in this way, you know, then you start to recognize the sacred nature in them, and you won't overindulge. You know, and every time you do, you bless this energy, you bless this plant, this mushroom, whatever it is that's giving you this life, you know, that's giving you this new view of life. As you indulge in it, you bless it and say thank you for the divine revelations we're creating in this moment of time, you know. And babies, it just changes everything, you know. It's like, in my experience, I've done a little bit of oddball sort of things that I probably shouldn't have done. But, you know, my life's been kind of experiential, so, you know, I don't say no quite off. I do these days, of course, but back in those days I was partying a little hardier than I do now, in a sense. In another sense, I'm partying better now than I ever have before. And I don't need no drugs to help me along at all. But I noticed that no matter what it was, unless it was something that just knocked me right the hell out, but outside of that, just about anything I'd want to indulge in would take me to the same basic place. Each time it'd be a little bit different perspective, depending on the energy that you were around when you were doing these things and so on and so forth, you know. But it was wild to me, because I watched others around me, and they sure as hell weren't doing that. They just get all silly and stupid, you know. It's like, oh, geez. And then they start showing their real selves, and you just start, oh, my God. You know, you got to help merge. But you see those kind of things when you're in those kind of places. Not to make you scared, but to give you a true view of what surrounds you so that you can work on, you know, whatever it is inside of you that's reflecting that into your reality around you, that's drawing it to you, in other words. So if you're looking at these beautiful friends that you have and you're seeing kind of ghoulish persons emerge while you're indulging in some spiritual journeying, well, son of a gun, baby. Maybe you're there to help them create the beauty, to really find the beauty inside so they don't have to live behind a facade. So the surface and the inner are the same. The reality lives together. Maybe you have one little moment with those folks that helps them, bing, wake up. Because you can see it, they can see it, and they know they can be seen. That sets them at first, but after a while, they start to learn to deal with it. To quit running away and pretending that it doesn't exist. We all have our darker aspects, you know, or at least what we perceive of as that. Let me tell you, again, that's a grander part of the illusion, the division of anything from anything, the very idea that things can be polarized and drawn to extremes. You know, I mean, the whole premise of this reality, which is in fact right now based on what? Polarities, right? At least as far as we can see. I think we're seeing a little beyond that on this Magic Monday, ain't we, man? It ain't so mundane here. Wake up call and a half from old Grandpa Coyote. You betcha. It's time, babies. It's time to look beyond time. You see, this is the only way we'll wipe the slate clean. We step back from the time we're living in. And then we see it from the loving view eyes of our dear mother, father, however you wish to personify those energies that are divine inside of all of creation. You see, we reached a pinnacle at one point where we drew all that energy into a personification. But it wasn't comfortable that way. It felt separate and isolated from us, didn't it? Eugh. And so we're always fighting to get it back, inside and out, man. We get these divine urges inside them, man. They become uncontrollable compulsions on the outside. They get warped on their way through. And there's not a person alive that isn't guilty of that at some point or another. And guilty is the wrong word, but I don't know other way to describe it. There isn't one person that hasn't inhabited that energy at some point. Whether they've acted on it or not doesn't really matter. It's there, you know. And you recognize it, you say, okay. You know, now I see, you know, now I can be a little more calm within myself, which will, of course, will help rechannel these energies so that I'm not having them kind of thoughts anymore. They just, you know, and the feelings that go with them, they transform in that moment. When you really recognize, you know, the love in your own heart and the desire to recreate the divine, to reconnect with the divine. And then you see that that's the source energy behind some of your most warped behavior, your most warped ideas. Then you start to understand a little more of the world around you because you see a little more of yourself for real. And you're starting to see beyond the concepts of light and dark. You're starting to see into your own heart. And what do you see there but golden light? Shining bright, man. I'll never forget the first time I consciously remember being present in that. It was like one of those moments when the divine seed comes to you. And I was just doing a little meditation in an isolated place, or what I called meditation. And whammo, here comes this golden shaft of light. Energy, life, flowing through me and into this earth around me and into the reality around me, which was a bright red with gold and glittery in it all around me, man. Gee whiz. And I felt such great peace. I knew then, this is back when I was about 30 years old, I think, somewhere back in that time, and I knew then everything was going to be all right. It's going to work out. I knew there was no way I could avoid a difficult journey. I was okay with that. If that's what it had to be, that's what it had to be. I could be okay with anything. If the ultimate outcome was that, if that's our natural state of being, if that's where I got implanted with the divine seed of life and began to grow forth from the womb of the great mother of all. Well, that's a beautiful thing, babies, and I bless it. And I bless every little moment I've lived since then and before that, too, because they're all in that same moment. I can unify it all in that one moment where I experienced the living truth of my own creation as well as all of the creation around me, you see. And in that aloneness of the one person, I felt all persons. The unity comes in the golden light that translates into creation around you, you see. I think that's what it's telling us, is that, really, in our heart, we redirect the flow of creation in accordance to the wishes of the moment of our heart. And the more we're consciously present in that heart, well, I think the more divine those wishes will become. The more we'll see more unified behavior here and a lack of contention between persons and nations and tribes and people of all sorts, as well as the nature around us, we're kind of coming to a place of great calming down, where the energies that foment wars and so forth just aren't going to be allowed to move around in the way that they're kind of losing their energy anyway. People don't like war. Nobody does, and nobody needs to fight it. We never did, but that's another story. Bless ourselves for being and doing whatever we had to do to get through to here. But here is where we become clear and wipe that slate clean, babies, because the backwash of love has come our way as a tsunami of love. And it's flowing through us already today, as we indulge in a little MJ and a whole lot of love, a little group unity here, a little harmonious communication with the one heart that's present in everything and everyone, as well as in the center of ourself, the sunlight that lives in the center of our chest, the true reality of the human existence, being revealed as you will allow it to be revealed. And of course, along with this comes much more. So, babies, be ready to step beyond all the parameters by which you have lived. Be ready to be stretched to the maximum extent possible so that you can catch up with your own conscious experience here and be far more present in it than ever before. See, 420 is kind of a free day too, man. Even though it's a Monday, it's a magic Monday. It's the beginning, a new beginning for the earth and all of her inhabitants. Every breath you take is. And 420 is one deep breath, babies. Ooh-wee. Don't hold it for too long now, okay? I don't want you to get dizzy and fall on the floor just yet. We got a ways to go here on the Coyote Medicine Show. We're just getting warmed up. Ooh, so says Grandpaw as we continue in the flow, baby. Ooh, BS&T. Set me free. Oh, yes, Christopher Cross here on the old Coyote Medicine Show, only on the Hazy Radio Network, baby. Oh, goodness gracious. April 20, 2015, international smoking happening right here, right now, as we continue our campaign to honor and legitimize the beautiful sacred herb often called Mary Jane. Yes, and I have to admit, it's kind of a joke, but at the same time, I am the veritable Pope of Pot, which means I am Mary Jane's right-hand man, which is, well, that way I can declare an international smoking on a day when everybody's smoking in anyway, and then everybody becomes a little more enlightened because of it. You see how that works? It's Coyote Medicine through and through. You just take advantage of the tidal wave that's already happening, and then you amplify it a bit through the sacred honoring of the sacred herb. And son of a gun, next thing you know, it transformed the whole reality. The tidal wave of love come crashing in on the mighty shores of the ocean of love. And babies, it just wiped out everything that was irregular here and recreated it all, man, including us right along with it. So some people would think it was a death moment, but they're crazier than loons. It's a transformative moment. See, death is a transitionary moment. There a transition But this is transitory. This is like the, going through the reality, expanding back into the truth, living in the real life, the real world, and no longer giving service in slavery to those we needed to bring back to their heart, because we've done it. That's why we're checking out now, babies. Prison doors swing wide now. The guards and the warden and everybody got convinced that love is the answer. And in fact started to realize there never really was a question. So here's to you, our sacred Mary J., for helping us once again, all along the way. Helping the ancient ones and the modern ones and everything in between, all those millions, eons of time, man. Oh, shoot. Hoochie boochie, babies. We've been around this old planetary reality a whole lot longer than some folks would have you believe, let me tell you. And so has this sacred herb Mary Jane, man. She's been here right since the beginning of time, right there at the beginning. She was one of the first herbal plants to spring forward. Of course, in a little bit different form, but nonetheless, like that human there was our mother, well, that earth there was the mother to the Mary Jane plant, And the woman of the moment, the mother, blessed this plant as it came forward. And say, may this always be a reminder to the children of my sacred love for them and my worship for them in my heart forever and ever and ever, no matter how long time extends, forever, until it ends and comes back again, and forever even after that. For in this moment I cannot stop loving our children, the extensions of my own person to become the human being, the very source sinners of creation, because I've taught them well. I've put them through kind of a tough form of education. But I am always there with you in all of the moments of agony and depression, as well as rapidity and succession, when it finally starts coming into being and blossoming. Boy, it happens quick, don't it? Well, it's supposed to. It's meant to be that way, That way it just kind of grabs you before you know what happened. You don't have time to think about it, because if you did, you probably wouldn't do it. We've proven that a few times in the past, let me tell you. We've drug our feet a bunch here as human beings, because what? We like playing with tin soldiers and, Sim Cities and building, empires, little tiny ones out in the country, little big ones in the city. But we just had such a fun, and then harassing each other and, making the communal joining something a little less than what it really was meant to be, just like we did degenerate the sacred herb to the status of a drug. Goodness, man. I tell you, those are people that don't know their arse from a hole in the ground, or just don't care, you know what I mean? I knew the moment I tried it. When I was just a youngster, man, I knew the moment I tried it that they had lied to us about this one. Very much so. She demonstrates that to you right away. Because she helps you become, and in a time when, lights were coming on around the world, man, all over the place. The archaic militaristic thing was meeting its challenge, and kids that could be innocently loving and show it and live it. There's a big shift, man, big shift. But not as near as big as the one we're going through now. And you notice all throughout, and you'll find it on temple walls and, all kinds of archaeological evidences of the Mary Jane plant being there. In some cultures it was called hyssop, and by a bunch of other words, but it's basically the Mary Jane all the way through, I know there's also an herb named hyssop too, I know that, and some think that's the biblical hyssop, but maybe it may not be, I don't know. I don't claim to be an authority on that. I just know that the plant's been around for a long time, that the historical and archaeological evidence, for the most part, is ignored, but it's there, and it's everywhere, Even go back to that little temple of gold that what's-his-name found down there in South Africa and check it out. I'll bet you'll find some little marijuana leaves here and there. You see, the mother really did in the beginning of time. Which mother meaning the first human being, which was, yes, a mother. It contained both genders because it wasn't genderized yet. So we call it a mother, but can just as easily be described as a father. It's the seed, the plant, and the blossom growing. It's all of it. And she blessed this plant, this herb, and tobacco right along with it, because they came up they're like second cousins or something. There's something they're not telling you about tobacco. And there's a reason why they try to corrupt the cigarettes and get people hooked on chems and not on tobacco. At first the effort was to abuse, and they realized that they were really helping people reconnect with earth energies and earth spirits and start to become aware of such things through their use of tobacco, etc. That these people were actually becoming clear thinkers to a certain extent, way ahead of many people around them. Tobacco has its own special blessing, and it should be honored on some day too. I don't know when tobacco's 420 is. We'll figure that one out. But one day we'll honor that too. You don't have to be here if you're one of those bigots that thinks it's an awful, wicked, terrible thing. I don't expect you to be, But I just want you to understand, in the legends of time, this is well known. And it's documented evidence too that, tobacco and Mary Jane were two of the first herbs to ever grow from the earth. As we began this form of creation we call plant life. We did it. We did all of this. We're doing it still. We are the creative essence. Mary Jane's just here to help you realize that, along with a whole lot of other things. See, our thinking's been muddled greatly. We allowed some interference with our existence. But now we're coming to see the nature of that interference, so we can be done with it. Our time, our season of this is over. We've brought ourselves back together from the extremes, the polarities that ripped us apart and kept radiating mightily from both sides, and just, it was hard to stay centered and balanced in a reality like that. The stretch was on, man. But guess what? The bulk of humanity made it through, so everybody did. We all are in this together. Every one of us that's human, that's biped, that has human energy. I don't care if you're a test tube baby, man. You have it. Human consciousness lives in human. Period. End of story. You can't breed it out of somebody. That's why you can't make conscienceless soldiers. You think you did, but you don't. And you know it. And you know they're going to turn on you now. But no, they ain't going to do that. They're just going to stop. Most of them already have anyway. The toxicity in the genetic structures you created have been neutralized. So these beings are constantly reforming themselves. It's not an easy process, by the way, but they're coming back. They're human too. See, we're bringing it all back together, baby. We're not letting you take anything or anyone from us, because you're us too. Nice little dose of the heart there. I have to address these people every now and then because they're family, and they've been significant here. And it's not an easy path to be an evil demon. It's not. And you have to understand their essence comes from the same place ours is. All life is unified in the love that creates. No matter how it formatted itself to be in this particular part of the reality, it is what it truthfully is. You're seeing the actors. Now you begin to see. You're seeing the acting, really. Now we're beginning to see the actors and actresses, that which is truthfully here. And if you don't believe that steps us beyond the mystery of all this drama and so forth, the Nazi Empire included, well, think again. Because there'll be nobody here to enforce it. There'll be nobody here to be it. We have better things to do with our time, our life, our moment of now. And that's be loving. Acknowledge the presence of creation within ourselves. Honor the sacred herbs that come to us, no matter how disagreeably they've been presented to us. There may be some sacredness in everything that lives. And nothing is meant to be disdained or cast aside or made illegal. Everything has its use. Yeah, there's been a lot of abuse, but most of that is promulgated by those who would rule over us. They want people who are dead in the head. They want you on some kind of drugs, man, going crazy and doing stupid things to one another. But guess what? Even that isn't working, is it? As a race, as a collective, we're getting a whole lot calmer now. 420 2015 represents a huge shift. Just because of a little change in attitude, and because a few of us got together in this worldwide sort of way. And we are worldwide. We've got listeners from north and south, east and west, all over the place. Vibe Tribe, baby. We're coming together in some very unique ways, and one of them is token together here on this beautiful old 420 in honor of the sacred herb and all of the plant kingdom, and what it's here to share with us, what it's preserved for us throughout the generations. Again, I admire and respect and appreciate the mighty redwoods, which is about the oldest living things we know of in this reality. 5,000 years or so, probably 7,000, who knows? But I ain't going to cut them down and count the rings, or you know. Enough of that. You got to admire those trees, man. You can feel the history of all of humanity. Just same way you can when you're standing over the Grand Canyon. It's another one of those places that has that life, that energy. Now, little Oakie's demanding to be let in. He thinks he's being neglected. It's a little cold out there, so I'm going to go open the door for him. Happy 420, everybody. So says Grandpa here, as we set each other free, as we do each and every day. But, ooh, this is special, man. 420 rocks, and so do you. So says...